much for joining us, Nonkululeko.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we know that black professionals still account for a very small percentage in the accounting field, but how are black women doing?
Okay, black women currently, as the stats stand, are at 4%. And let me just contextualize things. If we look at the total population of CAs, we're looking at about 38 to 39,000. So 4% of that number is actually very small. However, we are seeing that number grow steadily. Not so long ago, those numbers were less than a percentage. So there are a lot of interventions to ensure that that number grows to at least represent the economically active population of South Africa.
Now, let's just go back to the drawing board, education. Are black female learners being sufficiently channeled to the right subjects such that they can qualify for roles like accountancy and ultimately CA?
The biggest challenge currently is to get more students to actually take maths as a subject. So once we can address those issues, then we'll obviously see an increase of numbers of students who are actually eligible to actually study the qualification or the degree. So what's happened is we have a lot of interventions to try to get more African females in particular to take an interest in mathematics and thus obviously being eligible to qualify for entrance at psycho-accredited universities so they can qualify. So there are a lot of interventions, be it through ABASA or the African Women Chartered Accountants or BCAP and psycho for that matter in Tutuga, and different stakeholders that get involved to actually kind of spark the idea of black females wanting to be chartered accountants.
And what are those interventions? Do they involve things like mentoring, finance?
So we do have school bursaries that are available to qualifying students, of course. There's plenty of mentorships and the programs that are being run by the above said organizations to try to get that mentorship going. Because a lot of instances you'll find that students are not even aware of what the qualification is. So they are limited to what it is that they see. So when we come in and intervene, be it at a school-going level, be it grade 11 or whatever the case is, you stand there and you represent hopes and dreams of what a chartered accountant is. And hopefully that will spark some kind of inspiration so that those kids can see an African person who has actually broken the glass ceiling to actually pursue the qualification.
I do worry sometimes that given the nature, the patriarchal nature of our society, that perhaps the education and the learning of a female child is put on the back burner relative to their male counterpart. Now, if that's the case, it means regardless of whatever profession that children may want to pursue, then that holds them back, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think, thankfully for the urban areas, and I think this is because there's more ready access to information, we don't have that much of a problem. But in the rural areas, patriarchy is rife. And I think this is just something in general for most African students. How far do they get in terms of education? You have villages where school goes up to standard 3. So, this is a widespread problem. And obviously, it will impact more on the females because their roles are very misconstrued in terms of what they're supposed to achieve. So we need to kind of focus on those areas to kind of tell people that, women are beyond what it is that they expected to be and that they can break the mold and become whatever it is that they want to be.
You talked about how things have improved quite substantially in terms of female chartered accountants. Are you optimistic for the future?
Absolutely. I'm totally optimistic about this future. I mean, what we're seeing is young, amazing African CAs and professionals across the board that are doing the most amazing things and breaking glass ceilings. You have people becoming CEOs at a very young age. You've got young people who are dynamic. So you're seeing a lot of that filtering through in terms of society, and society is open to having such wonderful, amazing people, providing a meaningful contribution.
Nonkululeko, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
That was Nonkululeko Manyika. She's CEO at the Advancement of Black Accountants of Southern Africa.